Good morning, everyone. I think that we'll still have a few people joining us, and I believe Mary is able to admit them when they come in. I would ask if you are not on mute, to please mute yourself. I've gone ahead and muted the people I can. So if you don't know how to do that, I think there's an icon of a speaker at the bottom of your screen that you should be able to click on, and then you should see a red X go through your mute icon. So hello and welcome. We have missed you all, and while we're not meeting in person yet, it is wonderful to see your faces. The past year has been unprecedented. The challenges we all face through isolation, uncertainty, loss, and grief, and fear can be overwhelming. We have witnessed political divides, but also people helping one another in extraordinary ways. We've had to adjust, change, and learn new skills. Hello, Zoom. Creativity has abounded or not. We have rallied to support our small businesses, and they have innovated to survive. The term coworker has taken on new meaning. And for those of you who have 2-year-old coworkers, I feel your pain. Some have relished the time and solitude at home, while others have languished in loneliness. We still don't know the long-term consequences to our economy, to our health, and our mental health, but we can be sure that there will be more consequences revealed. But Anawim is still here. We've been serving our tenants. We've been their lifelines, sometimes literally. We transport to doctor's appointments or to the grocery store. We help to mitigate loneliness. We listen, we support, and we partner with our program tenants to achieve goals. Sometimes we cry, but more often we cheer. And there is laughter. There is so much laughter. Our property managers have worked tirelessly through the pandemic. Our property service techs have ensured people's homes remain in good working order. Careful management of our rent relief fund has kept numerous families housed and rent paid. Our accounting and reception staff were working in the office even when the majority of the staff were working from home. I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the racial tensions in our country. Housing is central to equity work. We believe housing is a basic right. It's a basic human right. When you work in affordable housing and in homelessness services, you learn how deeply connected equity and disparities are. People of color are shockingly and overwhelmingly overrepresented in the homeless population. Through increasing our affordable housing, Anawim has been providing solutions to the housing crisis. So equity work has always been a focus of Anawim Housing, and we will continue to focus our energies and our resources to advancing safe and affordable housing for all people. We believe that when we all do better, we all do better. I'm going to take a second here and I'm going to share my screen and pull up some fun pictures. Beginning. So just as we are celebrating our time today, our program participants celebrated their resilience last Friday by joining together in our annual Rising Towards Community celebration. Staff and participants shared a meal, laughter, and reconnection. We talked about how much we miss gathering in person, and we pledged to reboot our full circle group in order to maintain those connections and those relationships. After all, connection builds resiliency, and resiliency is essential. So we had a great time, we had great food, and we all really enjoyed being together on Friday. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and turn over the microphone to Mary Mendenhall-Core, our advancement director. Mary joined us last November, and I'm thrilled to partner with Mary in advancing the mission of Anawim Housing.
Helps if I unmute. So, well, thank you. And yes, I'm the advancement director, and it's been a fun ride since November. And we do so, the work here we do is so important, and I'm excited to be part of the team. So my apologies ahead of time because I'm new and I want to make sure I get my information across to you. I'm going to use some notes today. And what I'm here to share today is an update on our Women Empowering Families group. So in February, we formed a committee of WEF members, which really helped me get up to speed. I learned from the group that it was formed in 2007 by Dottie Thurston and Cecilia Kent with the goal to empower women and families by providing safe and affordable homes. And on our website, we have some incredible photos from past events, and that really gave me the sense of the WEF community connections made with those events, and then also the investment in our mission. And before I go any further, I want to recognize those committee members, and they include Marilyn Carroll, Pam Douglas, Liz Goodman, Betsy Happy, Kate Massip, Claudette McDonald, Pat Schaff, and Sheila Rayburn. At our meetings, the committee evaluated what WEF has been, where they want to be going forward, and they discussed the importance of being inclusive, supporting anyone that is served by Anawim Housing. They also discussed anyone interested in, they should be able to give to the WEF initiative. After several discussions and meetings, it was decided they wanted to keep the identity of WEF. So they came up with We Empower Families. So they talked about how family includes anyone that is supported by our mission. And we're excited, we're going to be kicking off We Empower Families this November at our annual event. And more information on that event will be shared at the end of the presentation today. Last year, with everybody else, our events were put on hold. We were not able to meet in person and make our WEF ask like we have in the past. So our donors, we were down about 50%. We are grateful to those that did renew their gift in 2020. This year, though, we're going to have an aggressive goal, and we're going to try to raise $40,000 for the important work that WEF supports. And that includes rental assistance, utility payments, transportation. We give out a lot of bus tokens to our residents and program participants. And then, as Cynthia mentioned, our Full Circle program. And what that is, are our residents and participants meet weekly with each other and a trained staff, and they talk about their challenges, they talk about barriers, frustrations, and they work through some of those issues with each other and with the training staff. So in our past, at our events, we also collected household items. And right now our closet's getting a little bare, and we try to stock it with the most requested and essential items that help us when these individuals are moved into their new homes to get started. And we now have a target registry. And what's nice about that is we have the items listed out there, and those items then can be directly delivered to Anawim. Actually just got a box today, so it's fun to open those and see what items we get. And the link in the registry, we're going to do a summary of today's presentation. We're going to do an email blast tomorrow with all the information. So more, you can read about that and appreciate any consideration with providing those items. But we believe that housing it is a basic human right, and everyone deserves a place to call home. And our tagline is so important, and that is home is everything. And we're not able to provide the critical work we do without the ongoing support of our community. And you're all making a difference. Your support gives us the resources. We need to be innovative, creative, and going above and beyond when those needs arise. And for this, we're so grateful. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Betsy Happy. She's on our board, and she's also one of the committee members, and she'd like to share a few words. Betsy?
Hi, everybody. It's nice to have you all join us today. And I wanted to, some of you I know, hi Sam, and a couple other people on the call. So nice to see you. I wanted to back up a little bit and talk a little bit about how I first got involved with Anawim. I wasn't familiar with the organization, and then somebody that I knew had a family member die, and they asked for memorials to be sent to Anawim. And so I sent a memorial to Anawim, and I thought, well, I better find out a little bit more about this organization. And the more I found out, the more I was attracted to their mission, and really, you know, the whole thing that we're talking about, housing is a human right. And, you know, that's an compelling purpose and mission to get behind. Interestingly, last year when I made some donor thank you calls, I called somebody and got somebody on the phone and asked, you know, how they got involved with Anawim, and their answer was they knew somebody who passed away, and they had asked for contributions to go to Anawim, and it ended up being the same person that I knew, and so we had that little bit of connection there as to why we got involved with Anawim. But then, you know, I wanted to know how I could get more involved with the organization, and so started getting involved with what's now hopefully We Empower Families. And one of the favorite activities that they have done over the years is to have these collections where we have a party in the fall and in the spring and collect household goods for the residents. And I just always thought, you know, in my mind, I see them getting this apartment with nothing in it. And then I see an Anawim person going and delivering, you know, some of the basics that they're going to need for their new home. And it just really warms my heart. So while those collection parties are fun, I always had a little trouble when I went shopping. You know, what do you pick? There's so many options. And so they've made it a lot easier with the Target registry that Mary was talking about. You click on the link, you're right out there, just like a wedding registry, and it gets delivered right to Anawim. And that will allow us to be able to collect those items, you know, on a regular basis, and they can just update that list as they have more needs. So it's been a great organization to be involved with. And, you know, I'm really supportive of the change from Women Empowering Families to We Empower Families. And, you know, would love to have you all consider making a donation, whether it's a monetary donation or just going out to that Target registry, or even buying some extra stuff at Target, because that's kind of fun too. So anyway, just really appreciate you all attending today, and thanks so much.
Well, thank you, Betsy, for sharing, and we really appreciate your leadership and support. At this time, we'd like to share a testimonial from one of our participants, Tracy, and I think Cynthia is going to tee that up.
I wasn't working then, but you know, I would go fishing, come back, go in my apartment, sit back, and look like, wow, I actually got an apartment. I can sit, take a shower, eat hot food. That place is my place, and I'm the king of that there castle. So I've been homeless for like 13 years. I stayed in a tent. There's a times where I just felt like, well, here, I'm done. I'm not doing another winter. was going on, I think it was my last year though there. I talked to a guy named Rock about primary health care. He said, well, sometime soon, it may be a week, it may be a month or so, but you will be in an apartment. I kind of like, well, it stunned me at first. I'm like, really, Rob? He goes, yeah. Then Scott called. I'm like, who's this here? He goes, I'm Scott. Can you be up here like about 9 o'clock? Yeah, what time? 9 o'clock Wednesday. Got dressed, threw on my coveralls, my coat, walked up there. It was like brutal cold. My inside of my tent iced up. There was ice on the inside, outside. I walked up there and had my appointment with Scott. He goes, come on, let's go. I'm like, where am I going? He goes, your place. At first it didn't click in at first. I'm like thinking, yeah, sure, right. I have an apartment. He goes, here's your keys. This is the security door here. Keep the door locked. I said, okay, open up the door. Went upstairs. Where's my apartment at? Apartment 5. It's your apartment. Opened up the door, went in, it's like, okay, yes. We talked about it and signed my lease and got it Wednesday, moved all my stuff in from camp that same night and day. Wednesday, I picked up my campsite and come back in. I'm like, well, I actually got an apartment. I don't have to like stay outside no more like this here. So I've been there going on 3 years now, and it's like, that's a blessing, really. He said, will be something that you want to do. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. And ever since then, it's like, it's been fun. You know, cleaning different apartments, looking around. I like to come at a job and do the whole job. Then I can go home. You know, we'll talk about stuff, and then it's like, okay, Tracy, it's your turn. We'll ask them a question or so. So, what brought you to group, and how do you feel about the group here and the people that's right here and now? Do you think it's helping you? Just keep coming back and things, because it will be better. It won't be worse.
Well, every time I watch Tracy, or anytime I interact with the individuals we serve, I get a little emotional, because we are literally changing their lives. And yeah, many blessings that we bring to them, they bring to us as well. And I wish that everybody here and everybody who donates and invests in our work could have that interaction. And that's what we hope to bring more of. We want our donors and our supporters to really understand, how these lives are changed and the impact that each one of you are making. So I personally want to thank you. I thought what we could do now, well, before we open it to questions, Cynthia, Tracy's part of our Renew crew. Would you want to speak to that and kind of give everybody an update on that program? Because that's a critical piece of our work.
Absolutely. So I just want to point out, I've watched this video of Tracy a couple of different times, and what hit me today is that he knew he moved in on a Wednesday, and that was 3 years ago. And the fact that that is imprinted on his brain means that that was an important day in his life. And so I don't think that we can ever underestimate how foundational housing is. So that's exactly true, that when we move people into housing, they frequently begin to want to achieve different goals in their lives. And one of the things of that is employment. But most of the employment services throughout our community still have quite a few barriers, especially for the population that we serve at Anawim Housing. Some of the folks that we serve have never been employed, or it's been many, many years. And so trying to go to an employment readiness class or to jump through a bunch of hoops to become employed, it's too much to ask. So when we started talking about helping people to move forward with their lives, and that was in conjunction with people letting us know that we were serving, that they wanted to do some sort of work, we really realized that we needed to model our employment services under the same sort of low, no barrier method that we serve people in getting into housing. So we utilize housing first, and we also utilize employment first. And so what that essentially means is that if you have a desire to work, just as Tracy was talking about, he wanted to work. Scott asked him if he wanted to work, and his response was yes. And it was that simple. Once he had the desire to work and said he wanted to, all we had to do was do the proper paperwork. And if that means that we have to help somebody to get a social security card and a driver's license, we do that. And then they're employed as an Anawin Housing employee also. They're not making minimum wage, they're making well above minimum wage. And we teach on the job. And so if something happens and people show up for work and they're less than able to work that particular day, it doesn't mean that they lose their job. It may mean that for the day they are doing a different task or they're observing. And then we would have a conversation with them about sort of, showing up for work and being able to perform the task, because we count on them and we value them as employees. And so just like in our housing services, we give second, third, fourth, fifth chances, we do the same thing in our employment services. So during the pandemic, we had been piloting this project for the past 2 years. And during the pandemic, we went ahead and decided, let's go ahead and expand because we don't have anything else going on. And we went ahead and moved this initiative forward from serving 4 people to serving over 20 people. And during a time where so many people were losing work or quitting their jobs, we were putting people to work and supporting them. And it was serving both Anawim and Altera very well. And it's been obviously highly successful. We've had one of our program managers who has a real passion for working with people in employment services move into a full-time role. So that company, Renew Crew, has become a full company that operates within Anawim Housing. And quite honestly, our Altera and program team would not be able to be functioning as well today without that, without the Renew Crew. So I'll go ahead and pass it back to Mary or anybody who has any questions that they would like to ask.
Yeah, we'd really love to have this interactive. So if you have any questions, unmute yourself and ask away. Okay. Okay. Well, hopefully we've answered some. Oh, Liz, do you have one?
I did. I just couldn't figure out how to unmute myself.
Oh.
In addition to all of this that was taking place during the pandemic, wasn't there another program subset that got started involving homeless youth? I think I'd love to hear an update on that. I know Sin's been on the news in different times and talking about that, and I've just missed it. So I was just really curious and kind of identifying kind of the numbers that in our population that we think we can help in that program.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, Liz, for that reminder. So yes, I participated in a kind of a couple-year process in our community looking at homeless youth and how we can better serve them. And through, again, this couple-year process as a continuum of care, we were able to submit to HUD a youth planning grant. And Anawim had applied to be part of that grant, offering permanent supportive housing to transitional age youth. So transitional age youth are youth between the ages of 18 and 24. And on this grant, we are able to serve single youth or families. And in fact, we have, again, during a pandemic, moved 13 either individual youth or families into housing, permanent housing, and we're supporting them there. We have hired a full-time program manager, and we've also hired a part-time peer support specialist. Peer support is it's an evidence-based practice that National Alliance for Medical, or NAMI, National Alliance for Mental Illness, supports. And the idea is that people with lived experience best can serve other people who are living with mental illness or substance abuse issues. And so we pair them with this peer support specialist, and she helps them sort of walk through life and tackle problems that they might come up against. And, you know, the idea is, you know, I've been through this struggle before. This is what I've done in order to get better. And I can help you walk that path as well. So the youth grant is called YHOP. We already have a housing opportunity. So this is a youth housing opportunity grant. Serves 13 individuals in a scattered site model. So they're located all across Polk County. We hold the master lease, and the youth sign as subleasees.
I think that's just great, and I think that's just more of the story that we need to get out there to the public, because obviously the public has some perception about what a homeless person looks like, and they usually are not thinking about young people. So I think this is just like a really a great opportunity, and something that I think we need to share and hopefully expand upon if there's a need. And unfortunately, it sounds like there is a need.
There is a need, and I can tell you that youth who end up in homelessness are overwhelmingly youth of color. They're overwhelmingly LGBTQ, and they've overwhelmingly exited the child welfare system. So youth who are in foster care frequently become homeless as adults. And so unfortunately, in our line of work, we are a downstream emergency service that is necessary. But of course, we always support all of those upstream services that are available to help prevent homelessness as well.
And that's a really good point, Cynthia, to point out is we partner with several agencies in Des Moines and resources, and creating that safety net for this population. And hopefully, you know, the work we do eventually will end homelessness. And that's what I get excited about. I've been in the nonprofit sector for 17 years, and I had heard about Anawim, can't even talk, but I didn't really understand the significance and exactly what Anawim does. And that's our challenge. And Cynthia and Kate and I and other staff are really working on better educating the community on the important work we do. And, you know, and we ask that all of you today, that you're investing in our work, and you guys can be advocates. And just like, you know, Liz is asking great questions and promoting Anawim, especially with our big event coming up in November. You know, that's where we want to have you bring your family members, your your spouses, your friends. It's going to be a free event. So, you know, we're not creating barriers for people to attend. Actually, it'll be a fun event. And that's really critical for us to share in person at those types of events, the great work we're doing. So appreciate the support you all give us throughout the year as well. Are there any other questions or comments?
So I want to make sure that you know to save the date for November 11th. And Mary might have gotten to that next, but I just wanted to make sure that November 11th is our Thanksgiving event. It will be in person. It will be an evening at Mainframe Studios. And we have a committee that is working together to incorporate art along with beverages and food and social time along with a short program. And anything else Mary wants to add?
Well, and again, we'll send out an email with a lot of information we've covered today that you can, you know, refer back to. We'll send out more information regarding this November event we're really excited about. We'd also invite you guys to reach out to Cynthia or I if you'd like to meet for coffee and learn more. If you have questions that come up, or if there's individuals that you think we need to speak to. We love to connect, and we love to tell the story about Anawim. And then we are going to be looking for sponsor companies for our event in November. So if you know of anybody that would like to support us that way, so we can underwrite that event, because we love telling the community that 100% of your investment in Anawim goes back to our mission. So anything else? Cynthia or Kate, if you guys can think of anything. Otherwise, we really try to keep this short and sweet today because we know how busy you all are, and we wanted to be appreciative of your time. So, okay. Well, thank you for joining us. Hopefully you've learned something new about Anawim. We've been busy this past year, and we've got a lot of work ahead of us, and we've got some other exciting things coming up, and we'll keep you guys informed as we can. So, okay, with that, we'll tell you goodbye and we'll look for the email tomorrow.
So good to see you all.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.